Hello everyone, I'm Armen. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. If you are new here, welcome. I post card making tutorials and project inspiration videos. You can also find me on Instagram at ArmensCraftRoom, where I post card inspiration and the occasional bullet journal inspiration. I hope you enjoy today's crafting session. Today I'll be working with the Spellbinders October 2023 Club Kits, the 3D Embossing Folder Club Flowering Christmas Tree Burst, and the Feeling Festive Club Card Kit. We're going to trim this pre-embossed panel to 4 inches by 5¼ inch high. I did run this through the embossing folder in advance of the video. As you can see, this leaves a slight border. The ephemera pieces come out of that Feeling Festive kit. It's very cute with lots of elves and Santas. I'm going to make this 3D folder pop with some Altenew Antique Gold pigment ink and a flat foam dauber, and we're just going to gently rub over the tops of the folder to make the 3D part really stand out. Spellbinders folders are some of the most 3D of the 3D folders I've ever used. As you can see, it just adds that metallic sparkle up onto the top, leaving the base in that red shade. That red paper did come out of the Feeling Festive card kit as well. I did notice there's a couple patches that could use a little bit more around the edges. Not too worried about the center because we're going to cover that up with the rest of the card. You can speed up drying of pigment ink with a heat tool. Definitely heat tool both sides so that they reduce the warping of the paper. The paper in the club kit is pretty thin, so you definitely want to be conscientious of that. This Feeling Festive green paper with the gold foil sparkles on the stars, we're going to use that in the center and trim that down to 3 inches high by 4 inches wide. And that's going to hold the tallest elf in there pretty well. So I'm using the 3D foam dots that came in the card kit to pop these elves up. Don't forget, you can cut strips out of the foam pieces that aren't already pre-cut into squares, so you can use 100% of that piece of adhesive foam. There should only be the release paper for waste on that. So I'm putting the stocking with the elf in it in the middle to really focus it, and we'll set 2 stockings without elves along the sides. I'm going to use the AdTech adhesive tape. That's my favorite tape. They did bring tape into the card kit if you don't have that already. Gently place this down, and I'm going to see what this looks like, and I put it on there and I realized it just needs a little something something, another layer, not super into the white, so I grabbed some gold foil cardstock from Recollections. We're trimming this down to 3¼ inches high by 4 inches wide. This is my first trim. It's actually a little bit larger than that. I'm going to trim it again here in a minute, which will get to that final cut. I realized that the border's a little more than I want, so I placed it at about a 1/8 inch border, which gives that final 3¼ inch high by 4 inch wide after we cut another 1/8 inch off of it. And we'll adhere that down with the AdTech tape, giving it a nice press. And I go to pick it up and it falls right off. The pigment ink and the super 3D-ness of this folder actually made that tape not strong enough, which is unusual. So I pulled out some foam tape, which is usually pretty good with the 3D cards. So I thought, okay, we'll just pop it up again. It'll be a really tall card. This one's probably going to have to be hand delivered because postage, it's going to exceed that 1/4 inch gap between the shortest and tallest piece for sure with all the multiple layers of foam. But it's a really substantial looking card when it's done. I really like how it came out. There's a lot of lift on it. Love the gold foil on the embossing. And this was my first Spellbinders embossing folder from a club kit that was 3D, and I was super impressed with how 3D it really is. These puffy stickers are also included with Feeling Festive. There's so many fun phrases in here: warm wishes, joy, fun, jolly good fun, special delivery, happy holidays. Quite a selection, and all the colors in here match the papers that come in that card kit as well as the ephemera. And I chose Full of Joy because I thought that was just really cute to go with stockings. And I'm also going to pull off some peppermint patty off of there. And these are the small die cut pieces that came out of the ephemera pack that was included in the card kit. So I've got some gold foil star and another peppermint coming out, and a couple other smaller peppermints as well. I'm going to glue these down with a little bit of foam so that they have some pop-up. And there you have it. That's the front. As you can see, the inside is still plain. And I'm going to add that extra strip of gold foil, that 1/8 inch offcut that we had from the front layer into the interior. Don't worry that it's not wide enough to cover that. We got enough ephemera here. We're going to put some peppermint candies right over it. No one will ever know it wasn't the full length of the card. All right, card number 2. I'm going to make Santa's workshop here, and the elves will be decorating Christmas tree. This 3D embossing folder was exclusive, and it came with my Platinum 6 machine, which is from Spellbinders. So if you want the folder, you have to buy a Platinum 6 machine. This white glitter cardstock is from Recollections at Michael's, and this pattern paper is from the Feeling Festive card kit from Spellbinders. We're going to trim down the pattern paper to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch tall, which is a US A2 size card. And we're going to cut 3 pieces of white glitter cardstock, each 4 1/4 inches wide, and they're going to have varying heights because we're going to turn these into snowbanks. All right, so here I'm checking out. We've got super sticky red tape. It's basically craft super glue. You're absolutely going to need it for this card. Glitter paper is really hard to adhere to other stuff, but any of that tape with the red backing will totally adhere to glitter without an issue. So we're going to use regular tape runner on the back of the snow, leaving a little bit of a border on the top of that snowbank without any adhesive so that we can slip some items under it. We're going to place the house down, and if you look at it, you can see there's quite a bit of a difference in height between the house if we leave it on there plain. So we're going to add some extra cardstock under the top, which will help keep this level. It'll make the card a little bit sturdier for shipping, and it'll honestly look better too. We're going to put a lot of layers on this, so having all the layers be level with each other where they're at with the snow is going to be ideal. Of course, the little square of scrap paper I have in there doesn't cover Santa in the chimney and the other chimney, so I have to cut some really tiny scraps and put those in there. They're not going to be an exact match, but you just want to get enough in there that if you mail this, they don't kind of push down and cause dents in your card. Anywhere that's going to touch the glitter paper, you want to use the super sticky tape. There's a lot of different names for that. Every company I've ever seen selling super sticky tape has that red backing on it. So just look for the red backing at wherever you're shopping and read the description. I'm sure it's going to be super sticky. That's been my experience shopping anyway. So we are doing 3 layers, so don't worry if about the bottom not being covered. By the time this is done, it will be. So we're going to cut another snowbank, trying to make it curve a little differently than the one in the back and not cover up the entire house because, they do need to get in and out of that door in order to decorate the tree that I'm going to put in the front. So it has to be a little bit believable. And do another red sticky tape here because this is mainly going to adhere to glitter cardstock. And I do use a piercing tool to pull that red tape off. It is extremely sticky, so any type of help I can get is always wonderful. Again, leaving the top open for some slipping in, see if the Christmas tree, how that just tucks right in there. And we're going to go back, look through some ephemera. And I've decided that I'm going to use one of the offcuts of the snowbanks, potentially by the elves' feet there. Need to glue it all down. So the Christmas tree here, I'm just building it up on the plain cardstock, just scrap paper on the back, making it a little sturdier so that it can withstand the different heights that are behind it and make it popped up a little bit. The foam tape's not going to stick to this glitter cardstock, so it's a little bit easier sometimes to stick the red tape to the cardstock than it is to stick it to foam. So you don't need to cover the whole thing. This tape is incredibly strong, so 1 strip top to bottom should be enough. And just press down really well. Now with the elves, they're a little too hard to cut scrap paper for, so I am going to put foam tape across all the elves and their bodies and their hats and everything. And then we'll add sticky tape on top of the foam. It's more challenging to do, but there's just no way, with this being pre-made ephemera, there's no way to stack a bunch of paper up easily. As you can see with the foam, there's quite a few spots, arms and legs and hats, that we're going to have to take the foam tape and cut it down even more. This is 1/4 inch foam, so I cut it in half, making it 1/8 inch foam to fit into those spots. You can buy 1/8" foam if you like. That's what I use for my shaker cards, but I had this one out, so it just was easier to cut it in half. So we're going to pull off all the release paper. And then the tricky part is you have all this release paper and it's already sticky, and then we're going to add super sticky tape to the back to help it stick to the glitter. It doesn't need to cover all the foam, just enough across the whole thing so that it will stay adhered. As long as the main piece is on there, the foam, there's going to be some foam on top of the other ephemera, which is going to stick with the regular foam adhesive. So we'll adhere that down, add a star into the evening, and we're going to add another base of snow. So it looks like they're standing in some snow, and I'm just cutting wonky edges with a regular old pair of scissors, nothing special. And you can bring that snow down as far as you like. This is going to be a foam tape with the red super sticky tape on top of the foam again, just to make sure it stays. We want the foam tape to give the depth to the card, so it looks like the scene has reaching far back, right? We've got a Christmas tree and elves with lights. They're getting decorated. If we put everything on the same level without the foam, it'll kind of look more mashed together. This is a full card front size. I didn't want any border on this, so you can see the depth here before I add to the card front. Because of that, it's going to be easier, honestly, to add the adhesive to the card front itself and then gently press the 3D portion onto it. It would have been a lot harder to get an even glue by flipping over the actual card front because it's got so many different layers on it. So I'm using the leftover pieces of that pattern paper from the front of the card to decorate the interior. And it's okay if it overhangs because we can flip the card over and cut the overhang off later. So the bottom piece is actually some of the white glitter cardstock. It's really hard to tell in the video, so there's going to be some sparkle on the inside as well. And we're back to the puffy stickers for this card as well, looking for a sentiment. I just didn't want to ruin the outside of the card, honestly, so I put jolly good, fun little flag on the interior. I usually wouldn't put something puffy on the inside, but I thought it looked really cute. And I've got some red enamel, liquid enamel dots. This is a real red color from Stampin' Up! And some liquid pearls as well in gold. And I'm going to use these to decorate the Christmas tree, and I'm just starting them on some scrap paper up above so that I make sure if there's any air bubbles, it doesn't burst all over my project since it's basically done. So I'm going to put a few red bulbs on the tree, add a red bulb to the top of his hat, and a little bit into the star on the top of the Christmas tree as well. And I'm very gently going to drop the card down on the table and tap around the enamel, trying to flatten it out so it doesn't get that Hershey Kiss look to it on the top. Another method, you could put these on silicone, find the perfect shape for you and the perfect size, then pull them off silicone once they dry and glue them on. I just go straight to the cardstock. I think it's just easier that way. The Liquid Pearls brand is a little bit more liquidy than the Stampin' Up! Brand, so it tends to stay more rounded on the top. I do still tap around it. It's not as thick though, so because it's a little bit thinner, it will make a more rounded pearl-like coating a little bit easier than the Stampin' Up! One's going to. And there we have it. So that's the finished card. We are going to set that aside to dry. Thank you so much for joining me today in this crafting endeavor. I hope to see you again in my craft room soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave notifications on so you can be notified when the next video comes out.